glossy videos, dry ice and spotlights, Super League 21 is launched. The game's come a long way since the muddy pitches of the mid-90s. The idea of Super League was arguably the biggest change in 100 years, but the £87 million offer from Sky came with conditions, notably changing from winter conditions to summer ones.
We disturbed a lot of the old habits that people had. You know, people were used to going to matches in August and September right through till April and May.
The most contentious plans were those to merge some clubs. Warrington and Widnes would have become Cheshire, Oldham and Salford would merge into Manchester, and it was suggested the 4 Cumbrian clubs would join forces.
With Oldham, they're Salford, Manchester never.
There's no identity. I mean, that's what you're taking away from people.
People were marching through the streets with banners or proposing to prevent that, and quite rightly so as well.
It sort of went against the grain in terms of what we as the British sporting public are used to.
Was that the toughest point for you?
I think very definitely the game agonised at that point. I think there was, and there were a number of casualties. I think there were a lot of friendships that were damaged and harmed. But I think that we came out at the other side of that very well, and we have a really good, strong competition with vibrant clubs.
After months of talking and negotiating, the first game of the Super League era was actually played in Paris, but the first game in the UK was played here at Oldham's Boundary Park. It was a new era for clubs, a new era for fans, and a new era for players who were now professionals.
It's just chalk and cheese. It's light years ahead now from where it was at. And when I think back to 92, I think it was when I signed. No, he's literally turn up on a Tuesday night. A conditioning session, kicked a ball, then they went up to the local pub and I had a few beers, and then I trained on the Thursday and they did exactly the same thing. I thought, maybe this is just sport, that's how it was then.
There were certainly mistakes made, and you know, I always found it strange that, you know, you or I could have been a player on a Wednesday earning, you know, £200 or whatever, and the day after we were full-time professionals earning 60 grand a year.
Super League 1 was won by a familiar face, St Helens, but a look at the lineup shows some surprising names. Only 5 of the original 12 clubs are still in the top division. Oldham and Workington were just 2 who are now consigned to the lower leagues.
It was a leap of faith, it was a leap into the unknown, and some of the clubs took a bit longer than others to take full advantage. On the positive side, you got a much better spectator and viewing experience.
It was a key decision that needed to be made, and they probably just about got it right, but my goodness me, there was an awful lot of resistance at the time, and probably it still is some in some areas as well.
Even as it turns 21, there are still mixed opinions about Super League. Tomorrow, we'll look at the future for our region's biggest clubs. Stuart Pollett, BBC North West Tonight.